Hey, what's going on guys, Migzuba here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a mono black snow control deck for standard best of one. So this deck is very similar to the old mono black control decks that we saw during Zendika Rising Standard, but we run a snow mana base to benefit from a couple snow payoff cards. These are all new from Kaldheim, so we'll get into them first. The first thing we want to look at is the Draugr Necromancer. It's a 4-mana 4/4 with two really relevant abilities. One is if a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it instead. So first and foremost, this card shuts down anything the opponent's trying to do with their graveyard, right? So if we play this and the opponent plays a Kroxa, it doesn't go to the yard, it just gets exiled. Same thing for, it's only if they die, so if they mill it, they don't actually get exiled, but you can see how that can be pretty useful in a number of situations. The other ability is you may cast spells from own cards in exile your opponent owns with ice counters on them, and you may spend mana from snow sources as though it were meant of any color to cast those spells. So this is one of our win cons. We can basically just kill off a lot of our opponent's things, and believe me, we're mono black, we are very good at killing our opponent's things, and then cast them all to our side of the board with the Necromancer. One way that we benefit from the only one copy of the Necromancer is having Blood on the Snow, our other snow payoff. It's a 6-mana snow sorcery, and we get to choose one, either destroy all creatures or all planeswalkers, meaning this card is relevant in control matchups too. Anything trying to run like Nico or the Tibalt, Ugin, that type of thing, we just get to wipe all of that, and then we get to return a creature or planeswalker card with CMC X or less from the yard, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast this spell. So this means that we can reanimate a Necromancer to get our snow stuff right back online, or if not, just ramp with Simulacrum. Murderous Rider is put at the bottom of the library, so we rarely can recur this. I mean, if it gets countered, we can recur it, but niche case. And we can recur Valky. Can't recur Tibalt, which is very sad, but but the most amount of snow mana we can spend is 6, so anything with higher CMC than that can't exactly be reanimated, which is also pretty sad. It's not an X cost. If it was, then that'd be really cool. But yeah, so that's it for like the main snow payoffs. We also have the Faceless Haven as an alternative to Crawling Barrens. Crawling Barrens might be better, but since we're in a snow deck, I'm going to try out the Haven to see how it goes. The last Kaldheim card we're running in the main is Valky, God of Lies. Like I say in every video, we can always play this on 2 against creature matchups to kind of slow them down and get a pretty decent ground blocker and maybe transform it, who knows. But really we're in it for the Tibalt Cosmic Imposter. And although we are mono black, this is the only red card in the deck, we can splash it really easily due to one, Sulphurous Mine, just another snowland that taps for red or black, so basically just a tapped snowland that can help us splash for Tibalt. The Pathways, these are 90% of the time going to be a black source, but later in the game you can just play one on red to make sure you can cast Tibalt at will. That's it for the new stuff. So we'll get into the rest of the list. Bloodchief's Thirst, early removal, you want to stay alive, kick it, deal with planeswalkers or bigger threats. 2 Clings, because Rogues is a real deck and we want to be able to wipe our yard. It's also a pretty good card advantage in the late game, or you can gain some life emergency. Speaking of drawing cards and gaining some life, we have the Mazemind Tome. It's pretty much exactly what it's here for, a great card. Heartless Act, eliminate, stay alive, kind of like this split because Crawling Barrens is still a card we have to deal with, and Mono White life gain puts a lot of counters on their stuff, and eliminate helps with that. Also, all types of like Boros-y aggro deck are running the Luminarch Aspirant, so Heartless Act doesn't get the job done in those situations. Elspeth's Nightmare, again, really good against Rogues, really good on the play, being able to take out a cheap threat and then get into your opponent's hand, as well as the graveyard exiling can be relevant. Rakdos is running around. Murderous Rider, deal with planeswalkers. There's more and more in standard as we get literally as the wizards print more and more. So I like the ability to deal with it. And I like having the option in the niche case to reanimate it with Blood on the Snow, should it be able to fall into the yard somehow. Always trying to max out my value. 2 Extinction Events. You can bump this up to 4, but we have so much removal in the early game, you shouldn't always need to sweep the board on 4, and a 2-2 split with our sweepers seems fine to me. Also, Ugin can sweep the board. Simulacrum, ramp, draw some cards, and Ugin, wipe the board, main win con, along with Valky, help us just stay in the game with card advantage in the late game with our huge planeswalkers. For the rest of the mana base, We run 4 Locthwains. You can cut this down and put more snow-covered swamps if you're worried about it. My logic is we should have enough snow mana with 16 snow actually 18 snow sources, because this technically taps for snow mana because it's a snow land, right? So 18 snow sources should give you enough mana to get at least 4 on your Blood on the Snow, and should give you more than enough to reanimate threats with the Necromancer. So this is it for the list, guys. It will be in the description down below as always. If you guys like the deck, be sure to drop a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it, and consider subscribing. It motivates me to make more content. And let's get into some games. Alright, hand is fine, a little bit slow, and the Locthwain will enter tapped, but we're against Lurrus, so I don't think I can pass up a hand with a Cling to Dust. We are going to need to hit land, that's the main concern, but yep, against rogues right away. And we'll put this on black, looking like we're Rakdos right now. So, slightly punished for running these lands and a Locthwain in our mono black deck. But we should be fine. Take out a Soaring Thought Thief. The reason I'm not too stressed about it is because we are a slower control deck and we can afford a bunch of tap lands. We're not like hyper aggro, need to curve out. Okay, Blood on the Snow is a bit awkward right now. Oh no, this is Swamp Mountain. It has land types for Locthwain. Alright. Very good. Alright, so we're probably going to Cling and Heartless Sack the Wind Robber. Try to hit our next land for the Solemn. Okay, I guess we're hitting the Soaring Thought Thief. That's 2 down. Opponent will mill me for 1. That's fine. Nightmare would have been good, but only so much we can do. Alright, we'll exile our own yard and draw. We have 2 draw steps to hit land, and we find it. Perfect. Nice, okay. So we play the Simulacrum and grab just tapped Snowland. So cool. Also, the reason we don't run any Snow Mountains is I just don't think that's worth it. I think we have more than enough with what we're doing. Okay. Opponent's gonna get to milling. And nice. Alright, so the Blood to Snow can reanimate the Murderous Riders. See what I'm on about? They can get into the yard. But we are getting pretty promptly milled. So, okay, we'll play this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 snow sources. So I can wipe the board here and draw a card off the Simulacrum. Or we can just use the Cling to Dust. I think this is fine. We can go destroy all creatures, pay with 4 snow, opponent will cycle their Wind Robber, that's fine, and then we will reanimate our Solemn, draw, and get some ramp. So not too bad. We can cast Ugin next turn and Bloodchiefs or something. The reason I wasn't too worried about it is because, yeah, they're going to play Lurrus, and now they're going to either need untap land and hold up Drown in the lock, or we just play Ugin and exile everything. Alright, milling me a little bit more than I'd like, but we're way still in this. Sorry, going to need to play Pathway. Go for the Ugin. Nice, resolves. And we can go for a clean -3. Get our opponent's stuff out of there. And we'll start poking at them, because we are going to have to win this game. Half our library is gone. At least we have the Haven to help us get there. Alright. Enforcer's going to mill us some more, it's fine. Ruin Crab, Still a little bit annoying, but we have Ugin Bolt, or just Ugin -1. Exile everything. There'll be some more. How many crabs have we seen? I feel like we've seen way too many. So we've seen, hold on, let me check exile. Just 2. All right. So we can go Ugin -1, take out both of my opponent's things, and we'll still have a Ugin on 3 loyalty. Now I can animate Faceless Haven and start getting in there. Goes for a Heartless Act on my Haven. I can cling in response. I think we just let it go. So we'll attack the Simulacrum. Tap land, pass turn. Okay. Now I can start emptying my yard for more cards. And a bit more than half our library's gone. Opponents almost out of gas. If they find a Into the Story, we're in trouble. And tapped Agadeems. I mean, Agadeems for 3 gets them a pretty good board, and they had the mana, so they probably have another one. Yep. I can exile their Windrobber, which I think I do, so they don't get to draw another card. We have plenty of stuff in the yard. I'm not worried. Yep. It doesn't necessarily matter what I exile. It's not like we have permanents to take out with, there's permanents for them to take with Zareth-san, and we get there. Nice, guys. It matters insofar as we don't exile creatures for our Snow Sweeper. But yeah, from here we're in a great spot. We can Elspeth's Nightmare, the Thought Thief, Bolt Face, attack, play the Mind, draw some cards off the castle, cling our yard some more. We have plenty of activations, and I definitely think we're on track to win this game. Alright, looking very mono black. We have the Tome and we have the Simulacrum, and against Yorion, that's pretty much all we can hope for. Ooh, an opponent mulligans. Alright, perfect. Can't mulligan a hand like this with no red. It's whatever. We're gonna find it eventually. We don't even have Valky yet. So we're just gonna play the Swamp, say go, and get the Tome ticking as soon as possible. Got a French player, Francois. Alright, Tome down. Our turns are going to look a lot like setup. Okay, so Simic, like probably Bant if I'd had to guess. Opponent's gonna get their ramp on. Sure. And we're gonna play out our Swamp and pass the turn. Nothing to do, but if they're on Bant, it means they might have creatures like the elf that ramps and draws a card. Maybe some sort of enigmatic incarnation. That is assuming they are Bant. They could just be running blue for the Yorion Cosima. Okay. We still draw off the Tome here. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna need a black source. We'll take out Cosima right now. Destroy target creature with no counters on it. Play out our Swamp and just draw another card with the Tome. Take our time, get to 7 mana, hopefully find a black source somewhere in there, and then ideally take over the game with Tybalt. So maybe Sultai? We'll see. Pathways make all types of color combinations way more viable. Buys Yorion, that's a good sign. And I'll take my draw with the Tome. Nightmare, okay. Haven isn't bad. So I can go Simulacrum or Nightmare plus Tome draw. I don't hate that. Even though there's no target, I mean, actually, they do run Cosima, but we have plenty of removal. Maybe we do just run out the Simulacrum. thin the deck. I clearly have plenty of lands. Take that action. We are a little bit punished right here for not having a 1 snow mountain, but it's okay. Omen of the Sea, yep. Chilling with plenty of land. Looking for one of my 8 red sources right now. I know mono black. Control looking for a red source. It's okay, guys. It's a splash of 1 pip at 7 mana. We should have found it, but it's okay. We also should have had more stuff to do than just ramp and draw cards. But hey, that is how the control mirror ends up being sometimes. Is that the Golgari one? No, I'm jealous. Okay, they're going to take out my Simulacrum. That's fine. Happy to draw a card. More land, nice. And my turn. Okay, so we're going to play out our Nightmare. First and foremost. And then their Nightmare will go off, and they can take an Extinction event, which is sort of whatever. And now we can hold up Tome Draw and Murderous Rider. And they scry with the Omen. I don't know if I agree with that. You can blink that with Yorion. They have double blue. I don't know. Maybe like it really depends what their hand is. But yeah, that's a free card and another free scry if they just go to their turn. All right, take a look. I could also take their Yorion by playing Valky, but I do think Tibalt, like the Tibalt side, is going to be a lot more important. Vorin collects, eh? Trample Haste. Dies to Murderous... I mean, we'll make them attack, but just dies to Murderous Rider. That's kind of funny. And I can scry and try to find a pathway here. I don't think it's worth it. I think we need the cards off this tome. And opponent has to play a land. That's what's holding priority, and they just concede. Okay, so I mean, I'm not sure what they're running. The mix of enchantments and creatures leads me to believe Enigmatic Incarnation. They're definitely not out of the game yet. And I mean, we're holding Valky, but we do need the red source for it. And aside from that, our turn is going to consist of drawing a card, playing Murderous Rider, like playing a land, maybe starting to animate the Haven at some point, but maybe they're just tilted because we're going to get to take a look and take a permanent, a non-creature spell. I don't know. All right, opponent's going to start. Pretty classic hand for me. Got Bloodchief's Thirst on 1, Tome on 2. I guess we got nothing on 1 because our opponent plays tap land. But had they have been aggressive, Bloodchief's Thirst on 1 must have looked really good. Alright, so it still might be Gruul. We find our red source, which is not needed for a while. We'll just play out the Tome and chill. Also, Necromancer finally shows up. We'll see if they're running graveyard stuff. Okay, so Teamer. If this is Teamer Ramp, we're in trouble. We have no counter magic, you know, being mono black and all. Alright, mine will come on tapped. Really cool how they added the land types. Oh boy, 4 color. Alright, what are we up against? 4 color absolute nonsense. Alright, that makes me feel a little bit better. We'll play out the Faceless Haven and get our ramp on. The opponent's on 1 blue, so I'm not expecting counter magic. Yep. Just grab a swamp. And we'll pass the turn. At least we've hit every land drop, which, I mean, against whatever pile this is, it's 4 colors. So, a little bit concerning. Oh, it's a Tybalt's Trickery deck, guys. It's always a Tybalt's Trickery deck. Okay. Alright, and okay, there's an Ugin, and they hit Ugin. Alright, that's whatever. You're playing a deck full of artifacts. Yep, you can bolt my Simulacrum, that's no problem. I can take a Scry here, but cards are good. I mean, probably should have taken it, we drew the land, but it's all good, guys. We have plenty of ways to deal with Planeswalkers. We'll get Locthwain down. Kick a Bloodchief's Thirst. And just draw off the Tome again. Alright, so we have plenty of ways of dealing with all types of threats that the Tybalt's Trickery deck can present. And that instant speed, so I'm not feeling too bad. Okay, so now I have to basically decide if we're going to slam Valky or Tybalt, and I think we do. The opponent's on 4 lines. They can counter this if they have a Trickery. Wait, they don't even have double red. Can they? Is Trickery double red? Jesus, no, 1 in a red. They can counter my Tybalt. As you guys can see, I'm not exactly a fan of this style. Oh yeah, Tybalt resolves. Let's go. Let's push to ultimate. Their graveyard is stacked. 2 Ugins. Alright, and we find a bunch of land, which I'm pretty sure we plan our land for turn. Yep. Sorry guys, just making sure. Alright. The opponent just scoops. Guys, I can't be the only one that keeps running into 5 color, or 4 color in this case. I can assume it's 5. It's usually 5 color. 5 color Tybalt's Trickery on the ladder. Like, relentlessly, I will face it at least 1 in every, like, 5 games. It's like the 3rd video in a row I complain about it. Alright, I mean, hand is fine. We have no actual card advantage for a while, but we can assume we're against something aggressive, and ooh, something aggressive. Well, we have a red source, and at least quote-unquote something to do on 1, because, well, it's a top land. Okay, Savior. Oh, play draw is awkward, guys. But at least we have Blood on the Snow, and literally all the mana in the world to cast it. Eliminate would be better in this spot, purely because they can have Luminarch Aspirant, and it kind of invalidates my Eliminate. They're going to go to attackers. We're going to do this now, because, I mean, we take 1 less point of damage, and even if they play a 3-drop, they use the Savior to protect anyways. And our life total does matter in this match, because, well, aggro. We'll just play out another Snowland, build that up. And we'll pass once again. I'm going to need to stop drawing lands, although if I was going to draw one, at least it's Locthwain. Alright, opponent's going to come in, and we're going to go with another removal spell. At least sacking the Savior doesn't blank my Murderous Rider. It makes it indestructible, but we still get to keep the Rider half, which is pretty cool. Okay, Extinction Event is a good draw, but I still think we just go for the Rider now. I don't want to just wipe out 1 speaker. They haven't been able to pressure my life total super effectively, so Blood on the Snow could come in handy. I mean, Double Sweeper is never bad against an aggressive deck. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just gonna chill. Only on 5 mana, so we can't cast the Rider and play it. Opponents hit every line drop as well. Kind of funny. Alright, and they're building up to 27 life. So, okay. This time we kill the speaker. But we're at 11, 4 of that self-inflicted. Okay. We're gonna go for the Rider. And I guess just play this tapped. We have nothing else to do with our mana, so might as well. Tybalt off the top would be really good. It appears we have both Flooded, although my Flood doesn't seem as bad. Alright. 3 of my Myers. Myers. Alright, there's a Hollow Blade. Thank God for exile removal. And I want to empty my hand. I can draw off the castle, but I don't think it's worth 5 life. Ugin, nice. Alright, well, we're going to go for the Ugin and get my caskets back, so double Murderous Rider looks really good. Opponent can just concede here. They're not on snow, so they can't even get a Faceless Haven. -2. Yeah, not to be toxic or anything, but I really don't see what you do in this spot. And we got the Life-Linking Legion back, and yeah, I don't know if they saw that line or like actually processed that we'd be getting our Murderous Riders back, but the second we did, they just were out of there. Okay, weird hand on the draw. I guess we keep. A tome would really help this out. Okay, mono red, we're gonna need some interaction in between all of this. Nightmare's good. I think we just take them off the charger right now. Make them suffer whatever tempo loss that entails, and hopefully draw interaction on 2. You might just see a Robber here, but Robber gets eaten by the Nightmare. Rimrock Knight, okay. Well, nothing on 2, so now they're going to need to play something that can actually get eaten by this Nightmare. Did not expect hardcast Rimrock Knight. Okay, Fervent Champion, at least it's something that the Nightmare can eat. But this Rimrock Knight will be beating us down in the process. Taking turn 2 off really sucks. Alright, well there's another Sweeper, which, if we live long enough, is going to end up mattering. And with the Necromancer, if it ends up getting put in the yard, the extra value that we can get off Blood on the Snow might really end up mattering too. So if they have Cleave, I don't think they can play it this turn. That means we might be able to get it out of their hand. Okay. They could have just been playing that to offset my Nightmare. Alright, what did you find? Heartless Act. Well, that can take out a Necromancer, so kind of sad. And they don't. There was like a pause, so they might have something for 1 mana. Whatever, we get to see their hand. Show me your moves. Infuriate or Cleave. Well, we're taking Cleave. We just have to be cognizant of this potential 3 damage. And we're gonna name Even. We have our red source if ever we find Tybalt. Not out of the woods just yet, but we're getting there. Especially after a stumbly start. But we can still definitely die to like haste creatures plus infuriate plus Embreath. So yeah, that's just the fun of playing against mono red. Or they can just brick with land for a bit and we just really get very far ahead. Aha, nice. We get to take out their yard. As you guys know, it doesn't particularly matter in this match. Gonna play 1 red source. Just the 1. And the Necromancer. Now, everything that we kill comes back to us, which is really cool. And if ever they take it out, and we find our 6th land and sweep the board, like I said before, we get to recur this. So, feeling a lot better. And the opponent just drew a bunch of Spikefield Caves. Okay. Well, we're on 9 life, so I guess we can start getting aggressive with the Necromancer. What can they do? They can draw Phoenix and Infuriate, and then I'm at 2, but Phoenix can't even be blocked by the Necromancer. They can draw Robber and then Heartless Act it, because we know they have a Heartless Act under a Robber, in which case we want to attack with this anyways. What other haste threats do they have? Fervent Champion? Fervent Champion is sort of whatever. I mean, we take an extra 3, I think 4 damage at most, so it's like puts us to 4. Yeah, I don't think any one top deck is worth holding this back. And if they just play like a do-nothing creature, we Bloodchief's Thirst it and then cast it, ideally immediately after, but if we don't have the mana for it, a turn later. And yeah, so I don't think they're completely out of it yet, but we are holding a lot of removal. So if ever they flood the board, then we Blood on the Snow, get our Necromancer back. And if they're just playing cheap dorky things, we can Bloodchief's Thirst and reanimate them with our own Necromancer, and then eventually play Ugin. We're 2 lands off, but we're going to get there eventually. So yeah, beats on aggro. Alright guys, and we are back. So, especially for best of one, I do think that this is a very powerful deck. You're going to be facing so much aggro that just running a pile of removal and minimal card advantage like tomes and simulacrums can really get the job done. I do think the Snow Splash might be the way to go, although I'm not 100% sure. One thing I learned, didn't even notice during the initial draft of the deck, was that this has a Swamp Mountain, so we're even less punished running Locked Away, and we only have these lands that make it enter untapped, so that's really great. Blood on the Snow is solid. A 6-mana sweeper is really slow, but we're not completely relying on it, right? Our deck is full of removal and we have the extinction events. Necromancer is just a win con. If you are losing to aggro too much because you're drawing it, cut it, put in another extinction event, and you can always put in more Tybalt or Valky, depending how willing you are to play it on too. I like to hold it as long as I can because I just find the Tybalt side way more powerful. And in this deck, we can hit our lands pretty consistently due to the tome and get to 7 mana pretty much every game. The Cling to Dusts are super necessary. As you guys saw, Rogues is definitely still a deck. And yeah, I might actually ladder with this for a bit. This deck was super solid and a lot of fun. The Snow Splash just really makes it have that Kaldheim feel. So that's it for me, guys. Again, deck list will be in the description down below, and I will hopefully catch you in the next one. Peace out.